my name is Myla Gonzalez, and I'll be explaining what persuasion is and the significance of persuasion, as well as a few techniques and terminology associated with persuasive writing. And what's explained in this brief lecture can also be found in this textbook. So persuasion is a blend of logic and reasoning, and it's based off of argumentation. And oftentimes when people think of an argument, it's portrayed as something negative and chaotic, with the idea that one person is right and the other person is wrong. However, in terms of academic writing, that's not necessarily the case. Arguing is to broaden a person's understanding and to build community. So there's no right or wrong in argumentation, academic argumentation, but logical discernment is what I like to think of. But persuasion is essential in argumentative writing. So the art of persuasion is called rhetoric, and there's 3 different types of rhetorical appeals that can be used as strategies in persuasive writing. So I'm going to start off with logos. So logos is the usage of logical reasoning to support a reasonable claim, and it's going to consist of a lot of data and evidence, a lot of facts to support it. Ethos is the ethical appeal that requires credible sources, and it's going to include various research methods to represent expertise and authority, because whenever you're portrayed as an expert, somebody who knows what they're doing, you're more likely to be seen as credible by your audience. And then the third is pathos. Pathos is generally used as a combination with the other rhetorical appeals, but it's used to evoke an emotional response from the audience. And within argumentative writing, arguing is honestly more effective whenever empathy is applied, because when you strike a connection between the writer and the audience, you're more likely to persuade and get your point across. And persuasive writing is a process that's primarily dependent on ethos and logos. So within persuasive reasoning and arguments, the main objective is, again, to build community and just broaden an individual's beliefs and their perspective, I suppose. But in persuasive writing, there's a few different approaches to argumentative essays, and the 2 that I'm going to share today are the Rogerian method and Toulmin. So when talking about Toulmin, it emphasizes logos and ethos, and it's more informative. It's more like a structured framework where it focuses on the claim, grounds, warrant, and the backing. The main point of Toulmin is to persuade and inform, and it's a little bit different from the Rogerian method because it's more assertive. And while the Rogerian method is effective as well in argumentation, it shifts to finding a common ground. And that kind of implies that there's more than one opinion on the subject that can be argued. And the Rogerian approach promotes consideration and collaboration among various arguments. So in persuasive writing, the purpose of persuasion isn't just to motivate the audience, but more so to convince them to a certain point of view or opinion. And persuasion is effective and important not just in terms of academics, but people are already dependent on persuasion to effectively communicate, moving forward in their lives, because it's used to navigate throughout various relationships. So for example, friendship, and then there's, say, work relationships with a colleague or someone who's higher up, like a manager. But the ability to persuade is a skill that's not just essential to academics and work, but I would say to various aspects of life.